Good morning, everyone. Greetings to you all from the members of the SPC Provincial Administration and from the whole SPC Philippine Province. To be with you this morning for the second SPC Education Ministry online conference is a joy and privilege. Thank you, Sister Maria Nilda Masirag, for the invitation. My message is focused on the first desired outcome of this two-day conference, Paulinian formators embodying Jesus' healing presence. The background comes from the SPC Philippine Province Christological theme for 2021, Jesus, the healer of life. Amidst the ongoing fearful pandemic, causing so much anguish, we ask, what could be God's message for us? Surely, God is inviting us to participate in the healing ministry of Jesus, to be His co-healers. We may not be doctors or nurses, but there are many things we can do, like helping to heal emotional wounds, bringing hope to despairing souls, helping alleviate sufferings, restoring the shaken faith of people and their spiritual, psychological, and mental health. We can restore wholeness and reconstruct people's lives that have fallen apart in fear and helplessness. We can give spiritual care as a life-enhancing and coping intervention to help people deal with difficulty in a better and positive way and respond to the needs of a sick world which needs healing. Embodying the healing presence of Jesus, we proclaim the joy of the gospel. How do we, educators and formators, attain healing in and through our education ministry? My sharing with you comes in three parts. The first is about our vocation as co-healers with Jesus. The second focuses on Jesus, the healer of life. And the third is about creating a healthy school climate. Before I proceed, let us be aware that we live in the context of human sinfulness, which needs healing. Quoting Father Walter Burgard, S.J., Father Ramon Bautista, S.J., said that there are 7 hungers of the human family: hunger for material food, freedom, justice and peace, truth, understanding, God, and Christ. It is only the first hunger, the hunger for material food, that is connected to the human body. The rest refer to hunger of the spirit, soul, and interiority. Father Mon said that if these hungers are not satisfied and addressed, human pain, suffering, brokenness, mental illness, especially during this time of the pandemic, and loss of trust and faith in God will take place. Thus, we need to see the totality of the human person, the physical, spiritual, intellectual, emotional, and psychological, bruised and tormented by these hungers. Part 1. Our vocation as co-healers of Jesus. We, as Jesus' co-healers, are ourselves wounded, fragile, weak, and sinful. And no one can escape from this woundedness, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, according to Father Henry Nouwen. How then can we put our woundedness in the service of others? When our wounds stop to be a source of shame and instead become a source of healing, we have become wounded healers. Quoting Father Nouwen, Jesus is God's wounded healer. Through his wounds, we are healed. Jesus' suffering and death brought joy and life. His humiliation brought glory. His rejection brought a community of love. As followers of Jesus, we can also allow our wounds to bring healing to others. Despite our woundedness, we are still asked to become agents of healing to others. In the 3 acts of the 48th SPC General Chapter held in 2019, pray, witness, and proclaim, Father Mon Bautista explained that no healing will happen in and through us without praying, witnessing, and proclaiming. These 3 fundamental acts stem from the threefold functions of Christ. Praying is the priestly function of Christ. Witnessing is his kingly function, and proclaiming his prophetic function. Our entire life becomes prayer and Eucharist when we pursue and participate in the healing ministry of Jesus. When we witness, we become instruments of Christ's love. Our life, therefore, should be a life of witnessing and serving. Our serving flowing from our witnessing. These 2 acts become one single reality. As prophets, called to proclaim God's word, we as educators become agents of the word proclaimed. We need to have this special devotion to the word, Jesus, who is the Logos himself. The 5 Christological themes lead us to know Christ more clearly, love him more dearly, and follow him more nearly day by day. Father Dennis Lim, LC, told the superiors during their assembly that we cannot effect healing unless we ourselves are healed first. Let us therefore allow Christ to heal us so that we can be a source of healing for others. A second task is to take care of ourselves in order to become effective healers. We need to pace ourselves and have some breathing space. We need self-care. Thus, we should include in our sharing a discussion of strategies for self-care and maintaining resilience, especially because many of us have been pushed outside of our comfort zones, continuing to make heroic efforts to help and serve others. We have focused too much on our being professionals and skills as administrators, teachers, etc. Father Mon Bautista said that we should go beyond this mindset in terms of skills, career, efficiency, professionalism, success, achievements, recognition, certifications, and accreditation. Unless we transcend our entire education enterprise, we will never appreciate fully the sacredness, beauty, and profound significance of our mission and calling as teachers and formators. Let us invoke our SPC Pauline spirituality in the light of our vocation as teachers. It is our spirituality that will create that difference, the vocation of teaching and forming versus careerism that is expressed in the language of power, money, success, fame, etc. Instead, let us use the 5 languages of love, according to Gary Chapman: the language of affirming, language of gifting, language of sharing quality presence and time, language of serving, and language of bodily touching. These languages translate to the language of mission, stewardship, commitment, compassionate, loving, and caring. It is in this sense that we participate most profoundly in the healing ministry of Jesus. Now I go to part 2, Jesus, the healer of life. According to Jose Antonio Pagola, the following can help us understand what it takes to embody Jesus' healing presence. First, Jesus was not a medical doctor who diagnosed illnesses. While he was concerned with curing people's physical affliction, he was also concerned with their situation of helplessness and the humiliation their ailment caused them. He gave the sick a new relationship with God. He did not rely on techniques, but on the healing love of God, which was his way of loving. As educators like Jesus, we are not medical doctors. How can we then lead the school community into a new relationship with God and on believing and trusting in his healing, compassionate love? Second, Jesus used the power of his word and gestures to heal. He talked to the sick persons and touched them to transmit his power to them and draw them out of the illness. At other times, he laid his hands on them in a gesture of blessing. Or he stretched out his hands to touch them, expressing his nearness, acceptance, and compassion. He did this especially with lepers, who were usually excluded from community relationships. In school, we are extra careful about touching for fear of being accused of sexual harassment. A healing touch, however, can be expressed in other ways that are within acceptable norms. We can touch people's lives even with kind, comforting, consoling, encouraging, affirming, and uplifting words. Third, more than physical healing, Jesus built the sick person's trust in God and renewed their faith. Thus, he was able to draw them out of isolation and helplessness, liberate them from sin, restore them to the community, and open to them a fuller and healthier life. How can we, through our curriculum, policies, practices, and activities, strengthen faith and build trust in God and in the school community? Fourth, is essential in the healing acts of Jesus to cure the affliction. He openly attributed people's healing to their faith, as seen in the healing of a woman bleeding for 12 years. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, thinking that if she touched his clothes, she would be healed. Her bleeding stopped, and she felt freed from her suffering. "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed." Mark 5. How can we, educators, help our teachers, staff, and students accept that God is present in the midst of their painful experiences? How can we make the curriculum, policies, practices, activities, etc., signs or expressions of God's forgiveness, peace, and blessings? How can we lead them to open themselves trustingly to God that they may be healed? Fifth, integrating and reconciling the sick into the society is another dimension of Jesus' healing ministry. Jesus removed the barriers that excluded them from the community. Stand up, take your mat, and go to your home. Mark 2, verse 11. Go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded as a testimony to them. Mark 1, verse 44. Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you. Mark 5, verse 19. Jesus was not only curing the sick, but also calling out to the community and society, proclaiming something new. I am with you. Sister Inigo Joachim repeatedly told us in her conferences to bring our God experience to others so that they will feel and experience that God is indeed with them and present in their life. We educators should make every effort to remove any sign of division in our classrooms and school community. There is such a thing as spiritual inclusion. Spiritual inclusion welcomes everyone. Spiritual inclusion connects us to all that is. It is a personal invitation to reach out, collaborate in new ways, and include everyone. Experiencing a sense of oneness and unity in itself heals. We now go to part 3, creating a healthy school climate. The building of a healthy school climate necessitates our belief and affirmation that we, teachers and formators, are healers, and that education is a healing process. How can our education curriculum affect holistic transformation in every student's learning experience and become a tool for liberation from any form of illness? How can we bring our task of teaching into an effective activity of healing? When a sick person is healed, there is evidence that something has been accomplished. When a person is made well, he is raised to a higher level, to the level of a normal, healthy, happy, and functional human being. In education, there must be an element of healing, realized by creating a healthy school culture and climate. A positive and healthy school climate must have the following characteristics. First, physical safety. The physical environment must be safe and welcoming and must support learning. This concept includes cleanliness of the buildings and proper functioning of electrical lights, equipment, etc., which create a welcoming environment and demonstrate care of school leaders. Second, strong social relationships. The school must encourage positive communication and interaction among students, teachers, and the wider community. Do students find it easy to talk to teachers in their school? Do they feel there is a teacher who would notice their absence? Children must feel they are known and supported in school. Elaine Allensworth, a known researcher and director, says, and I quote her, "Strong relationships not only help students feel safe and accepted in their school, they also help students build resilience to cope with adverse childhood experiences." End of quote. Third characteristic, emotional environment. Students must feel emotionally supported to develop high self-esteem and a sense of belonging. A positive school climate can improve students' academic achievement, attendance, engagement, and behavior, as well as teachers' satisfaction and retention. Negative emotions, such as feeling alienated or misunderstood, make it harder for the brain to process information and to learn. Brain development flourishes when children feel emotionally and physically safe, knowing they have adults who care about them, and when they are challenged in their learning. Fourth characteristic, academic support. The academic environment must be conducive to learning and achievement for all students. High academic expectations and supporting structures to achieve these expectations are essential hallmarks of a healthy school climate. Do teachers feel it is part of their job to prepare students to succeed in college? Do they assist students in setting meaningful academic goals for themselves and promote a strong academic culture where university education is a goal? Allensworth says that high expectations without support just sets students up for failure, undermining their confidence. The practice of building and sustaining a positive school climate can be extremely difficult and challenging. School climate involves everyone connected to the school: students, teachers, support staff, administrators, and parents, and almost all aspects of their experiences in school, from how teachers address students to whether the school building is kept clean and safe. A school culture consists of the customs and practices reflecting our beliefs and value systems on education. We have our Paulinian way. What is the distinct Paulinian way? How do we describe the culture of Paulinian schools? What are our core values, practices, customs, and beliefs that make us particularly Paulinian? Who are our heroes and models who model the Paulinian spirit and culture? We have the prism, the Paulinian roots, identity, spirituality, and mission, which must be deeply embedded in every aspect of the school curriculum, policies, and practices, celebrations, management of discipline, etc. In a school with a healthy climate, leaders, teachers, and staff focus on prevention. Discipline is used to preserve relationships and respects the students' dignity. Note that education can be used for healing as well as hurting. Father Luis Candelaria, SJ, told our teachers in Vigan, "Kayong mga teachers, sadista kayo. When you ask your pupils to raise their hands if they want to go to the board, instead of calling those who raise their hands, you call those who don't and whose faces are likely looking down, afraid to be called." Humiliating your students in public can have a lasting impact in their life, which can damage their life and their future, he said. And once you have admitted them into your school, it is your duty to make them successful, he added. A positive climate in the classroom and campus can affect a healthy school culture that supports learning. To add my message is this inspiring and beautiful poem by Dorothy Law Nolt. Children learn what they live. It eloquently explains the power adults have over children's lives. It is also for us teachers and formators, called to be co-healers with Jesus, the healer of life. Children learn what they live. If children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with fear, they learn to be apprehensive. If children live with pity, they learn to feel sorry for themselves. If children live with ridicule, they learn to feel shy. If children live with jealousy, they learn to feel envy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with tolerance, they learn patience. If children live with praise, they learn appreciation. If children live with acceptance, they learn to love. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with recognition, they learn it is good to have a goal. If children live with sharing, they learn generosity. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with fairness, they learn justice. If children live with kindness and consideration, they learn respect. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and in those about them. If children live with friendliness, they learn the world is a nice place in which to live. Thank you, everyone, for your kind listening. I wish you a fruitful and meaningful conference. May God bless us all.